Presenting
The Complete
Orson Welles
and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London.
as the third man.
Stand by.
We'll be on the air in 15 seconds, Mr. Wells. Yes, I know.
Stand by, everybody.
Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel,
Who knows
Dracula.
what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Hello world, welcome to The Complete Orson Welles, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. This podcast will feature various classic radio programs ranging mostly from 1936 to 1952 that Orson either produced and directed, was featured on, or starred as a guest. If you enjoy my podcast, you can subscribe to receive notifications of new posts. Subscribing is free and only takes a moment. New episodes are posted weekly. If inclined, please leave a rating and or review on your preferred podcast service. Thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the genius of Mr. Welles. President's Day was a couple of months ago, but here we are with George Washington American. And this episode aired February 22nd, 1941.
NEW New York, serving New York and New Jersey 24 hours a day.
The name George Washington has become a symbol of liberty and freedom wherever man has read the records of history. In man's long and bitter struggle for the right to be free, for the right to govern himself, George Washington is a guiding beacon as enduring as history itself. 209 years ago today, George Washington, American, was born. To him, to his principles of freedom, of unity, of tolerance, of democracy itself, this program is dedicated.
The unity of government, which constitutes you one people, is also now dear to you. It is justly so, for it is a main pillar in the edifice of your real independence, the support of your tranquility at home, your peace abroad, of your safety, of your prosperity, in every shape of that very liberty which you so highly prize. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. With slight shades of difference, you have the same religion, manners, habits, and political principles. You have in a common cause fought and triumphed together. The independence and liberty you possess are the work of joint councils and joint efforts, of common dangers, sufferings, and successes.
This is a decisive hour in American history. What George Washington said almost 200 years ago is pertinent and meaningful today. For this reason, we have restored with faithful accuracy, from documents, letters, and other historical records, the wisdom, the ideals, the thoughts, and the hopes of George Washington for America. Playing George Washington will be the distinguished actor, writer, director, Orson Welles.
I want you to hear a story of America. A story of a people who came here to find a refuge of hope and security. I want you who live today to hear facts from an historical diary of one who faced a world as difficult and as troubled as your own. I want you, my countrymen, to know how we met those problems, how we faced them, and how we overcame them. It is April 19th, 1775. A fateful day in American history. First blood is shed in the American War of the Revolution.
Who is it?
Courier from the Continental Congress.
Just a minute.
What is it?
Important dispatch, sir.
Oh, let me see it. You are hereby requested to attend the special meeting of the Second Continental Congress, which will sit in Philadelphia in May this year, 1775, for the purpose, among others, choosing a commander-in-chief of the Continental Armed Forces. Signed, John Hancock, President of the Congress.
Order, gentlemen, please.
Mr. President.
The gentleman from Massachusetts, John Adams.
Mr. President, members of the Congress, I believe that the Commander-in-Chief of the American Army should be a man satisfactory to all. We want Virginia to support our New England cause. Therefore, we should give our suffrage to a Commander-in-Chief from Virginia.
Mr. President! The gentleman from Virginia, Edmund Randolph.
I propose Colonel William Byrd,
No.
commander of the Virginia forces.
No.
I nominate General Andrew Lewis, that gallant soldier from Virginia.
No.
He has neither the experience nor the ability. I protest, sir. And so do I, your
Mr. President, the gentleman from Massachusetts, John Adams.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
The gentleman from Massachusetts, John Adams.
Mr. President, I propose we end this bickering. I name for your consideration Colonel George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army.
Mr. President,
The gentleman from Virginia, Patrick Henry.
if you speak of eloquence, there are others more experienced. If you speak of solid information and sound judgment, Colonel Washington is unquestionably the greatest man on the floor. I propose we take a vote.
Order. All in favor?
Aye!
Opposed? Then it is carried. Colonel Washington, this Congress has nominated you to be General and Commander-in-Chief of the Army of the United Colonies. Will you accept the position tendered you?
Yes, gentlemen, I accept it. Though I am truly sensible of the high honor done me in this appointment, yet I feel a great distress from a consciousness that my abilities and military experience may not be equal to the important trust. However, if the Congress desire it, I will enter upon the momentous duty and exert every power I possess in the service and for the support of this glorious cause.
Philadelphia, June 18th, 1775. My dearest Martha, I'm now set down to write you on a subject which fills me with inexpressible concern. I've used every endeavor in my power to avoid it, not only from my unwillingness to part with you and the family, but from a consciousness of its being a trust too great for my capacity, and that I should enjoy more real happiness in 1 month with you at home than I have the most distant prospect of finding abroad, if my stay here were to be 7 times 7 years. But as it has been a kind of destiny that has thrown me upon this service, I shall hope that my undertaking it is designed to answer some good purpose. Your affectionate husband.
Attention!
Thursday, the Continental Congress of our nation drafted the document which I hold here in my hands. It's a declaration of independence. I'll read it to you. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Our numbers were quite inadequate to the task of opposing General Howe, being reduced by sickness, desertion, and political deaths. We're obliged to retire before the enemy. New York, north into White Plains. We retreat across the river to New Jersey. Across New Jersey to the Delaware. Few people knew the predicament we're in. On 1,000 accounts. Fewer still would believe if any disaster happened to these lines, from what cause it flowed. I've often thought how much happier I should have been if, instead of accepting a command under such circumstances, I'd taken my musket on my shoulder and entered the ranks, or if I could have justified the measure to posterity in my own conscience and retired to the back country and lived in a wigwam. If I shall be able to rise superior to these and many other difficulties, I shall most religiously believe that the finger of divine providence is in it. The hand of Providence would seem to be in it indeed. For on Christmas Eve, we attacked Trenton, capturing 23 officers and 866 men. Justice to the officers and men, I must add that their behavior reflected the highest honor among them. Princeton, too, we established ourselves more firmly on the Delaware. The odds soon told. For at Brandywine, our small army was beaten and forced into retreat. Through the want of shoes and stockings, and the hard frozen ground, you might have tracked the army from White Marsh to Valley Forge by the blood of their feet. Strong symptoms of discontent appeared in particular instances. Nothing but the most active efforts everywhere could avert a shocking catastrophe. Come in.
General Washington.
Yes, Colonel?
General Washington. The men are in a bad way, sir. 10,000 starving, frozen men. What you're asking them to do is impossible.
And what do you propose?
Surrender on whatever terms we can get, sir.
Mm-hmm. Are you cold, sir?
Of course.
Hungry?
Yes.
And discouraged?
Discouraged and beaten, too, sir.
Beaten? Huh. I'm cold. My home's a shelter like yours. I'm hungry. My food's no better than yours. I'm discouraged. What man wouldn't be? But beaten when we've nothing but a few wooden buildings to lose. Man, there's freedom to be gained.
The price is so great, sir.
We've fought long and hard together, haven't we?
Yes, sir.
And won sometimes, too. Haven't we?
Yes, sir.
Why can't we win again? And if we should win again, would the price then be too great? Would any price be too great for freedom? For liberty?
General Washington, tell me, do you really think we have a chance? Do you really believe that after this sort of sacrifice, that we can hold out?
Before God, before the men who entrusted me with this command, before all that I love, I do believe it, Colonel.
I'll tell the men that, sir.
All through the long winter, we hung on. We would not give up. And with summer came good fortune. Burgoyne was defeated at Saratoga. We concluded a successful alliance with France. The Marquis de Lafayette. My dear Marquis, your love of liberty, the just sense you entertain of this valuable blessing, and your noble and disinterested exertions in the cause of it, conspire to render you dear to me. And I think myself happy in being linked with you in bonds of the strictest friendship. The struggle continued. 1779 and 1780. These were trying years, long and not too well endured. Intrigues and plots were formed behind my back. To Mr. Patrick Henry, dear sir, this is not the only secret, insidious attempt that has been made to wound my reputation. Error is the portion of humanity, and to censure it is the prerogative of free men. Yet my heart tells me that it has been my unremitted aim to do the best that circumstances would permit. And this only I can do. October 19, 1781, to the President of Congress. Sir, I have the honor to inform Congress that a reduction of the army under the command of Cornwallis is most happily effected. Victory is ours.
Soldiers, attention! General Washington.
Soldiers, I'm about to conclude these my last public orders, to take ultimate leave in a short time of the military character. As I bid a final adieu to the armies I have so long had the honor to command, I can only offer in your behalf my recommendation to your grateful country and my prayers to the God of armies. May ample justice be done you here, and may the choicest of heaven's favors, both here and thereafter, attend you who under the divine auspices
has secured innumerable blessings for others. With these wishes and this benediction, I'm about to retire from service. The curtain of separation will soon be drawn. The military scene to me will be closed forever.
General Washington.
Yes, Colonel Nicola.
I've been delegated, sir.
Yes? Why do you hesitate?
Only because of my pleasure, sir. I have the honor to inform you of a plan whereby, with the support of your army, you may become monarch of this nation, to reign as King George I.
What are you saying, Nicola?
We want you to be our king, sir. King of America.
King? King of America? What a triumph for our enemies to verify their predictions. What a triumph for the advocates of despotism to find that we are incapable of governing ourselves, and that the systems founded on the basis of equal liberty are merely ideal and fallacious. I am at a loss to conceive what part of my conduct could have given encouragement to an address which to me seems big with the greatest mischief that could befall my country. Colonel Nicola, let me conjure you then, if you have any regard for your country, concern for yourselves or posterity, or respect for me, banish these thoughts from your mind. A country is not born into freedom without pain. The country was again to face a crisis. 1786, Shays' Rebellion. Shays was a captain in the Revolutionary Army, a farmer of western Massachusetts. The country was in the midst of depression. Prices were low. Farms were being foreclosed. Farms were being foreclosed. Farmers were in debt.
Neighbors, listen to me. We'll move on Springfield. There's a government store there. We'll get armed.
Shays, what's your plan?
We're after two things. A moratorium on mortgage foreclosures and cheap money so we can pay our debts. The legislature's refused to pass money bills to lighten our debts. We've got to take matters into our own hands. We've got to close down the courts and convince the judges that our farms belong to us. And only our loaded muskets will convince them.
Then what?
We march on to Boston and take the capital. We'll pass paper money laws. That'll cancel our debts.
Wait! Can we hold Boston?
We have friends in Rhode Island and New Hampshire. There's no moon tomorrow. We'll all meet at the bridge. We fought for this land. A lot of us died for it. We have a right to keep it.
There is no evil greater than disunion, and those unreasonable jealousies which are continually poisoning our minds. We are a united people, or we are not. If the former, let us in all matters of general concern act as a nation which has a national character to support. If we are not, let us no longer act a farce by pretending to it, for while we are playing a double game, we shall never be consistent or respectable, but may be the dupes of some powers and the contempt assuredly of all. We need a new government, a union of these states on liberal and permanent principles, to form a constitution that will give consistency, stability,
and dignity to the Union. This is a duty which is incumbent upon every man who wishes well to his country. In May 1787, the Constitutional Convention assembled in Philadelphia to revise the Articles of Confederation. I sat in the chair. James Madison, my young friend from Virginia, was the guiding spirit. Debate was acrimonious. 50-odd delegates were assembled.
Gentlemen, we've lived under a monarchy. We were miserable. We fled from it. Our liberties were destroyed. Our rights were taken away.
I agree. Some of us have lived under oligarchy. There was no freedom of any kind.
We must have the right to worship God as our conscience dictates.
Gentlemen, this time we must avoid the mistakes of others.
The crisis we have lived through has shown us that we must respect the people. Did not because you see me in the press of this.
Discussion was long, serious, ardent. But after due deliberation, we resolved on the one form of government which was in accord with the dictates of our conscience. A government of the people. We drew up a constitution. I presented the results of our meeting in a letter to a friend, a dear friend, the Marquis de Lafayette. Sir, this constitution will be a government of the people, a government in which all power is derived from, and at stated periods reverts to them. The election of the different branches of Congress by the free men will be the pivot on which will turn the first wheel of the government, a wheel which communicates motion to all the rest. But the people will be right at last. These powers we're devising are so distributed among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches that it can never be in danger of degenerating into a monarchy, an oligarchy, an aristocracy, or any other despotic or oppressive form, so long as there shall remain any virtue in the people. You know, my dear friend, democratic states must always feel before they see. It is this that makes their government slow. But the people will be right at last. The people will be right at last. On September 17th, 1787, we completed our work. A constitution had been drawn up for the United States of America.
Gentlemen, this convention, having completed its labors, is now adjourned. We must devoutly pray that the states will ratify this document and permit us to establish the United States of America among the company of nations. This is an excellent work we've done. In all our deliberations on this subject, we have kept steadily in our view that which appears to us the greatest interest of every true American, the consolidation of our Union, in which is involved our prosperity, felicity, safety, our national existence. That it may promote the lasting welfare of that country so dear to us all, and secure her freedom and happiness, is our most ardent wish. I think the people can, as they will have the advantage of experience on their side, decide with as much propriety on the alterations and amendments which are necessary as ourselves. I do not think we are more inspired, have more wisdom, or possess more virtues than those who will come after us. The power under the Constitution will always be in the people. Ours will be a government of accommodation, as well as a government of laws. Much is to be done by prudence, much by conciliation, much by firmness.
The Constitution contained no Bill of Rights. There were murmurs of disapproval, threats to reject the new frame of government. In Virginia, there was open criticism. An elderly churchman honored me with his presence.
General Washington, there is no Bill of Rights in the new Constitution. The Baptist churches insist that it be included.
My dear sir, if I could have entertained the slightest apprehension that the Constitution framed in the Convention, where I had the honor to preside, might possibly endanger the religious rights of any ecclesiastical society, certainly I would never have placed my signature to it. And I could not conceive that the general government might ever be so administered as to render the liberty of conscience insecure. You're right, sir. We shall include a Bill of Rights to protect freedom of worship and freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. I was seated in my home in Mount Vernon toward the end of 1788.
General Washington, sir. Two
Yes?
gentlemen to see you, sir.
Two gentlemen?
Yes. Mr. John Marshall and Mr. George Mason, sir. They've arrived together, sir.
A Federalist and an anti-Federalist, both keeping company. And coming to see me. It's a good sign. Show 'em in.
Yes, sir.
General Washington.
General Washington.
Come in, gentlemen. It's good to see you. And especially good to know that you've both come together.
We come on a mission of unity, one that of necessity brings us together because we are of the same viewpoint and intention.
I don't exactly understand you, gentlemen.
If I may speak for you, Mr. Marshall.
That you may, sir.
General Washington, I have the honor to inform you that it is the unanimous decision of the Virginia Assembly to present your name for the presidency of the United States.
Presidency of the United States? Surely, gentlemen, you can't be serious.
Gravely serious, sir. Our state has no other man it would nominate as our first president.
First president. But I don't think I have the ability for such a task, gentlemen. Besides, since I helped to advance the new government, my motives might be misconstrued.
If I may say so, sir, you're a bit too modest.
Moreover, the choice is unanimous, not only on our part, but on the part of every state in the Union.
No other answer that I can give?
There is no other answer that you can give, sir. There is no other answer that you can give, sir. The answer has been made for you.
My countrymen, among the vicissitudes incident to life, no event could have filled me with greater anxiety than that of which the notification was transmitted by your order and received on the 14th day of the present month, 1789. On the one hand, I was summoned by my country, whose voice I can never hear but with veneration and love, from a retreat which I had chosen with the fondest predilection. From overseas came the distant rumble of guns. The French Revolution and a European war had broken out. Americans were taking sides. There was bitterness and dissension in the country.
Gentlemen, I say we must help France. France came to our aid in the dark hour of our struggle. France was when we needed her most.
But, gentlemen, I say that the revolutionary forces who now control France deserve no support from our government. We must curb their intrigues and plots among us.
Members of Congress, among the many interesting objects which will engage your attention, that of providing for the common defense will merit particular regard. To be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace.
President Washington, this is a grave hour in American history. What are your plans?
I'm 64 years old. I've lived a full life. There are others who are younger and stronger now, who must carry on the burdens of our country. Then in 1796, I addressed a message to my fellow citizens. Friends and fellow citizens, in looking forward to the moment which is intended to terminate the career of my political life, my feelings do not permit me to suspend the deep acknowledgement of that debt of gratitude which I owe to my beloved country for the many honors it has conferred upon me, still more for the steadfast confidence with which it has supported me, for the opportunities I have thence enjoyed of manifesting my inviolable attachment by services faithful and persevering, though in usefulness unequal to my zeal. Interwoven as is the love of liberty with every ligament of your hearts, no recommendation of mine is necessary to fortify or confirm the attachment. The unity of government which constitutes you one people is also now dear to you. It is justly so, for it is a main pillar in the edifice of your real independence. The support of your tranquility at home, your peace abroad, of your safety, of your prosperity, of that very liberty which you so highly prize. But as it is easy to foresee that from different causes and from different quarters much pains will be taken, many artifices employed to weaken in your minds the conviction of this truth, as this is the point in your political fortress against which the batteries of internal and external enemies will be most constantly and actively directed, it is of infinite moment that you should properly estimate the immense value of your national union, your collective and individual happiness, your political safety and prosperity, watching for its preservation, my countrymen, with jealous anxiety. For this you have every inducement of sympathy and interest. Citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. With slight shades of differences, you have the same religion, manners, habits, and political principles. You have in a common cause fought and triumphed together. The independence and liberty you possess are the work of joint councils and joint efforts. Councils and joint efforts of common dangers, sufferings, and successes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to speak now out of character as Orson Welles. In going over the papers and documents of George Washington, speeches to his men, his inaugural address, his farewell address, those who prepared this program found a constant devotion to the principles of national unity, a fierce and unflinching confidence in the people, a trust in Republican institutions, a belief in democracy. The right of people to govern themselves, exhortations to people to fight, if necessary, to die for freedom. I believe that if Washington were alive today and were asked to select any portion of his documents which he would deliver to the American people now, it would be these lines from a letter to his very dear friend Lafayette. I read them to you before. I'd like to read them to you again. You know, my dear friend, democratic states must always feel before they can see. It is this that makes their government slow. But the people will be right at last.
Ladies and gentlemen, Orson Welles, distinguished actor, writer, director, has played George Washington, American. WNEW presented this program in the interests of American democracy. This program was under the direction of Charles Martin. WNEW New York, serving New York and New Jersey 24 hours a day.
Thank you for listening to and showing your support for my podcast. If you would like to receive notifications of when new episodes are posted, please subscribe to my channel. Subscriptions are 100% free, and they really help me get an idea of how I'm doing. Well, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe, wish you well, and as always, peace.